Hello, you fans of pop. That's what we're talking about today. No big classic rock, no alternative rock, no grungy guitar bands. We are talking about a pop superstar. Ben, can you guess which one it is? I'll give you a clue. She's currently in the media. She's about to do a tour. She is in Vogue.
Danny Minogue,
Nope.
Shania Twain,
Nope.
Meredith Brooks,
Nope.
Hazel Dean,
Nope.
Bonnie Tyler.
You're doing a good job of naming female artists everyone's forgotten about. But
Thank you.
I know that you know, but we're really talking about Madge.
Oh,
Now,
Madonna.
I actually bought this the other day. This is quite interesting. It's a Record Collector magazine special.
Can we just address the elephant in the room?
What's that?
You've got a thing for Madonna, haven't you?
Well, I was a teenage fan, for sure.
Do those pages still open?
They do still open. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that. Now this is an interesting. This is quite interesting because they've done a 2-page feature on every album. There's also some interesting facts in here, and there's a few things that I'm reading through. I haven't read it all yet. Things that I didn't know, and it's quite interesting. Did you know there's a guy in Belgium? Going off at a tangent.
Well, there's people in Belgium. Yeah.
There's a guy in Belgium, similar age to me, looks a bit nerdy like me as well. He has collected over 10,000 items of official Madonna merchandise. So that's not just all the records and all the international editions, every record and slice of vinyl you can get, but he's also bought all of these. He's also got T-shirts and every single thing. The only thing he says he hasn't got is the tour program from the Virgin tour in the US in 1985, which was sold at the concerts there. And he hasn't got one of those, and that's the only thing that he reckons he hasn't got. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, because is it in Japan? There's that record shop that just sells copies of the White Album, and was it in New York?
There is a shop somewhere. I think it might be New York, or they've only got Beatles White Albums. Yeah. And they're all different because they've all got different scuffs and scratches, whatever.
Yeah. So this guy owns over 10,000 items
10,000
of Madonna.
Individual items of Madonna stuff that's all been, I think, is official, or maybe it's not all official, but it's all every type of merchandise you can get.
Yeah. I wonder what the weirdest thing he's got.
I don't know. He hasn't got the whole. It doesn't go into that amount of detail about what he's got.
I wonder if he's got a full life-size doll of Madonna.
I don't know.
One of them.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But he's married.
He seems to be that. He seems to be. He seems to be that obsessed. But no, it's interesting. So what I wanted to say, she's about to do this celebration tour that is about to start. Now, the background, I just want to talk a little bit about her career, but the background to this tour, this could be interesting because you remember this summer she was in hospital with a virus, which was apparently quite a nasty virus, and there were even fears for her continued existence, basically.
Her alien formation existence.
Yeah. So she apparently obviously recovered from this virus and came out of hospital. She was apparently, this is according to showbiz gossip, so it may not be true, but it seems believable. She was told by the doctors who treated her that she should take a full year of not working in order to recover completely from it.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, from her, that was apparently a hard no. So, obviously, when you're a millionaire superstar, you can soon find another doctor to tell you what you want to hear.
What's the difference between a hard no and a no?
Well, just a definite, a definite.
So wear a leather jacket. Because that one makes it hard.
Turns up looking like
Phil Mitchell.
I was going to say the one from EastEnders.
Yeah, you're soft nosed more than Ian Beale.
So she said no to that. So she's found another doctor who told her that she could start the tour this month in October 23, as we as we speak, it's just a couple of days away from starting at the O2 in London. Now, apparently, they announced 4 dates at the O2 in London. They got such
Are you
demand that
going?
I'm not. They had such demand that, I've never actually been to a Madonna concert. I've seen Prince, I've seen Michael Jackson, I didn't
Yeah,
see.
because she's got a restraining order
Well,
against
that's
you.
why. You see, that's why I only got into Prince and Jacko. I didn't get into Madonna. Tried, but
You got into Prince and Jacko.
let's not go there. Anyway, she's starting this tour. They
Oh
added 2
dear.
more. They had 2 more dates at the O2. There's a total of 78 shows on this tour, so it's going to be going on until April, I think, next year.
Yeah.
And well, it's going to be interesting to see how she goes on that, because apparently some of the choreography's been changed, so it's not quite so exhausting for her. So there's going to be more people dancing around her rather than her doing quite as much dancing. But even so, she's like 65, I think, now. So, okay, maybe not as old. That's nothing compared to Mick Jagger, but
No.
to do 78 shows when you've been told by your doctor to take a year off, that's maybe could be seen as pushing it. So it will be
Well, Michael
interesting to see.
Jackson got told to rest, etc., didn't he? So
Yeah.
that is. But I forgot what I was going to say. It was going to be something Madonna based, but obviously, I tell you what, I couldn't work in a studio. Having over the head headphones on really hurts my ears after a while.
It does. Well, it depends on the headphones. But
But that's what I was going to say. The last time I saw anything by Madonna was when she got pulled down the that platform thing at the Brit Awards.
oh yeah. That was 2015 Brit Awards. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
was it Versace or one of the Italian fashion houses
And
made
I
this
could see
cake?
it happening. Yeah, yeah. And I remember saying I think I was watching it with one of my kids, I went, she's going to fall down that, and she couldn't get it off. You could see it go,
And they pulled it down the stairs. The cake that didn't
Yeah,
open.
yeah, yeah. I bet you were mortified that you weren't there to rescue her. You could have been a knight in shining armour,
She
Phil.
kind of rescued herself. She has talked about it since, although apparently she's never watched the video of it,
No, she's not.
because
You could have been Phil Adge.
it's an interesting mirror into her mind, that, because she doesn't like the idea of watching back something where it went wrong. That's a kind of she's a bit
Is that?
perfect.
But Madonna, if you're listening, knock knock. There you go. Learn from mistakes. That's what they're there for. You don't really learn from successes. You learn from mistakes.
Well, what?
Remember, don't wear a cape. You're not Superman. He never had that trouble, did he? Clark Kent. Uh,
Yeah, she hadn't gone for the theatrical angle and just came on and sang a song. It wouldn't have happened, but she does like to do the theatrical stuff.
yeah.
Now, what I wanted to say was, it's easy to kind of say, oh well, yeah, she's just a mainstream pop star, blah blah. It's not rock and roll, etc. Some music fans may sort of sneer at that kind of thing, but in terms of having an influence on the wider culture, I'm trying to think of who have been the most influential music acts, in terms of not just being influential in music, but in terms of affecting society and having some kind of effect. And there aren't many. I think you could say, obviously, that Elvis Presley had an effect on
Yeah,
society in those
the
early days,
Beatles.
and the Beatles.
Well,
Yeah,
me and you are very much children of the 90s,
yeah.
and I have often said that that Oasis changed the landscape for youth during the
There was
90s.
certainly a youth culture phenomenon in the
Yeah,
90s,
yeah.
but of course,
I think without Oasis, you wouldn't have had sort of like the political change and everything, because it sort of made people, probably like Madonna and all these other people who've done things, it made you think, you know what, I can be that guy there and I can be better.
it could be, it may have been, but certainly Madonna was a massive phenomenon in the 80s. She was certainly a youth culture phenomenon, and I can't think of another artist.
Michael Jackson, did
Pops,
he had
well, you see, this is it. Michael Jackson was, and did sell more records than Madonna, But what I would say is Elvis Presley was the first massive pop star, of the rock and roll era,
Yeah,
who was a
yeah,
youth culture phenomenon, and all the youngsters around the world, he was massive, massive icon. I think Madonna is the biggest since him. I know you could say Michael Jackson was bigger, but the thing with Michael Jackson is, I think it was a slightly different phenomenon in the sense he'd been a child star, so he'd been around for a while. So he had a lot of fans who were slightly older as well. So he was appealing as well to people who were not just teenagers. You know what I mean? He had a slightly older audience
yeah, yeah,
as well
yeah,
as a lot of teenagers liked him as well, of course. But I felt that he was more like a multi-generational entertainer, and more towards that. Maybe not the very old people, but people up to middle aged were liked Michael Jackson. Whereas Madonna, I think when she first came out, she was very much appealing only to the youth, and people who were
yeah, yeah,
older tended not to like her. She tended to be one that the parent generation didn't take to at first. They may have mellowed on her a little bit over the years, but that was,
yeah,
I think, I can think that she was the biggest. I'm going to suggest she might have been the biggest youth culture pop star since Presley, unless
yeah, possibly.
people
I,
have got another angle on that. But that's how I think. The other influence that she's had, which you can take as being good or bad, but I think the influence was definitely happened, is that if you look at the pop charts from either Britain or America before 1985, if you look at all the songs that were hits in the top 10, whatever, top 40, I would say, although there was a lot of women pop stars and a few acts that had women singers, I would say most of the
yeah,
pop records were sung by men.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
because you think about the early 80s, even you had people like Olivia Newton-John, and Diana Ross was having solo hits and all that, but it was
God
still.
awful.
But if you listen to the disco, even that disco era, a lot of those songs were sung by men. The Bee Gees and
Yeah.
Don't Rock the Boat Baby and all those records. There
Rock
was
the boat, rock the
a
boat,
lot of exactly. It was men. They were men singing those records. Now after Madonna, the voice of pop became predominantly female.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think if you listen to the pop charts now, or even in those decades since Madonna came on the scene, there have been more and more female singers and more girl bands, and
and she had attitude as well, so she was sort of
yes, and of course there was an influence with the attitude as well. I think that the Spice Girls went on all about this. Remember, they kept on about the girl power and all that kind of thing. But really, a lot of that
yeah,
attitude, I think, Madonna had already done that.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
she was
can't disagree with you. I'm trying to find a chink in your
thinking
Madonna
my
armor.
argument. Yeah, yeah. The other thing was, I think if we want to just look at some of the stats around her of what she has achieved, because if you look at the other two big stars of her generation, Michael Jackson, I just talked about, and Prince,
Yeah.
they're all three of them were born in 1958. In fact, the bizarre thing is they were all born within a few weeks. So I think
Oh, really?
Prince was born in early June of '58, and Madonna and Michael Jackson were both born in August of '58. So there's only like a couple month period
There
where
was
all
something
were
in the
born.
water, wasn't there, in late '57?
Who was, sorry?
I said there was something in the water in
Oh,
late
sorry, late.
'50.
Oh, sorry, yeah, when they were all conceived. But the thing is,
Yeah, yeah.
with her, Michael Jackson, of course, came from a musical family, and was brought up to, obviously the father groomed him to be a star along with the brothers and sisters. Um, Prince, his father was a jazz musician and jazz band leader and notable pianist. His mother was, I think, a sort of a jazzy gospel singer. So his family, there's definitely musical talent in that family. And Prince also got music lessons and stuff when he was growing up. So a lot, Prince and Jackson both had, if you like, music in the genes. Madonna, as far as I know, didn't have any musical background, didn't really come from a musical family. Her father, I think, was a I think, worked in a car factory in Detroit. Her mother died when she was
Shit.
6, and I don't think her mother had any musical talent that I'm aware of. And her siblings, because she had about 6 brothers and sisters, I think, or she's one of
Yeah,
6.
yeah.
I can't remember if she's got 6 brothers and sisters or whether she's one of 6. But anyway, I don't think any of her brothers or sisters has done anything in music. So she doesn't have that background. She did a dance scholarship. She became a professional dancer first. I think when she was in Paris, when she was a teenager, she was there to learn dance, but she had some vocal coaching from some professional coaching woman, and then went to New York and got involved in the art scene in New York and hung around with people who were in various
A little bit like
artistic,
Lady Gaga.
yeah, people who were doing various artistic projects. And she was in a kind of band at one point where she played the guitar, I think. I think she also played some drums in a thing, but she wasn't really a fully trained musician. And for someone with a relatively limited vocal ability, well, I think she's a good ballad singer, and I think she has turned out some very good vocal performances, but she certainly doesn't have the voice of some other women pop stars who've got,
Yeah, yeah.
voices that are clearly on paper more impressive. What she's actually done, because I'll just look at some of the stats here. They reckon that the Beatles have sold over 500 million records.
That's phenomenal, isn't
And
it?
they reckon that Presley has sold over 500 million records. And Michael Jackson, I think the number off the top of my head is 450 million, I think. And
Yeah.
these obviously are pretty rough figures because they haven't got exact figures on this. These are estimated based on global sales. The only other act, because Madonna is on 300 million records. Some people claim that she's sold 350 million records, but she's on, I suppose, on at least 300 million. Elton John is on a similar number to her, and those are the top 5. And so the Beatles, Michael Jackson, and Elvis Presley are the only acts in history that have definitely sold more records than Madonna.
What, more than Johnny Mathis?
Yeah. I wonder what you're going to come up with then. But the other thing as well, if you take, there's 3 that are on about 100 million. Diana Ross as a solo artist, Tina Turner, and Cher. If you put them all together, they still haven't sold as many records as Madonna. And that is really quite extraordinary.
Yeah, it is. When you put the numbers out there, when you sort of put it, it's a. I've always said, Ray of Light is one of my favourite albums of all time.
And the number of hits on the top 10 in the UK, I think Madonna has had the most. I think she's top for the Billboard charts in terms of physical singles. She had 60. I think the number in the UK was 63 top 10 hits on the charts in the UK. And I know they've said in recent years some of these acts. I think Drake, the Canadian rapper, and Taylor Swift. They said, they had all these, they've had all these hits. But these hits that they've had in the streaming era are basically all the songs off all their albums that have been streamed millions of times.
They're not physical single releases.
They're not physical releases. Back in the 80s and 90s, if you wanted a Madonna single, you had to go to the record shop and buy the single. Yeah. And she had a massive number of hits back when you had to do that. I think that's totally different to just this streaming like tap water.
No, I don't get Drake, and I don't get Taylor Swift. I don't get the whole.
Yeah, I've never listened to Drake, so I wouldn't really be able to say. I haven't really been able to find. I have tried a bit with Taylor Swift, but I haven't been able to find. And this is another thing. I was looking at that.
Here we go. He's on a roll.
I've got so many things, haven't I? I was looking at that celebration compilation of Madonna that came out a few years ago, and there's about 36 tracks on it, I think. And you look at that, every single track, virtually, there may be a couple of new songs on it, but there was well over 30 tracks on there that you know. I mean, you can play. You will know these songs. And anyone who's listened to any radio at all in the last 30, 40 years will recognise these 30 Madonna songs. How many Taylor Swift songs do you know?
Shake it up, shake it off. That's it.
Because I can think of maybe one or two. And I just don't think these people have had anything like the cultural... they haven't cut through to the public in the same way. I reckon most people who've been around in the last few decades, you could stop them and ask them to name Madonna songs. I reckon they could name more Madonna songs than they could name Taylor Swift songs. Even though Taylor Swift is supposed to be the biggest pop star in the world right now. That's why I'm comparing her, because she's doing this massive tour. She's done over 100 shows. She's supposedly sold all these records and had all these streaming hits, and she's supposed to be the biggest star in the world. But are her songs as well known to the public as Madonna's songs? I don't think they are.
No, yeah,
unless I'm just too old. Well, I don't think so.
I think well, you are.
Well, yeah, that's true, but
yeah. I just think that Taylor Swift's a bit like Tab Clear. It's all great and it's all gimmicky, and when it comes down to it, there's no real substance to it. It's not going to last. In 50 years' time, there won't be documentaries on the TV of people like discussing the whys, where, and chord changes of a Taylor Swift song, are they?
You don't think so? No. I mean, of course, you can never know this for sure. I think she's clearly had some kind of influence in terms of she's made a big stand over owning her own masters, hasn't she? And she's even
that sort of side of it. I like her for that sort of stuff. And to be fair, from what I've heard, I do have. It's probably here somewhere. I've got her Retribution album, is it? Is it Retribution or something like that?
Right.
I have a daughter, so that's why I have it. That's my excuse. Don't think it's ever been listened to, but she does, that Shake It Off and some of those other songs from around that period are some really good pop songs. You can't fault it. It's just not for me. It's not Engelberg Humperdinck, is all I'm saying.
Right. Well, I must say, one of the things I've been reading in this record collector Madonna special, which I thought was,
you haven't been reading.
Which
You've been
I
looking
thought
at the
was
pictures.
which I thought was interesting.
Oh, Madonna!
Because
I've got a restraining order, but I really want to look at you.
Now, I know she's obviously co-written a lot of her hits. Not every song, not every Madonna hit song, of course, is written by her. There are some interesting ones that she didn't write. Which, did you know she didn't write Material Girl?
I did read something about Material Girl. Wasn't it done by somebody who had done something else before? I can't honestly remember.
I can't remember who wrote that. But did you know Like a Virgin wasn't written by Madonna either? That was written by Steinberg and Kelly, who wrote... They also wrote I Drove All Night and Eternal Flame.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. That's the one.
Like a Virgin was Steinberg and Kelly. So they also wrote, I think, True Colours for Cyndi Lauper. So they'd written quite a few hits around that time.
Yeah.
But obviously she has.
That shows how much I knew, because I thought True Colours was written by
Cyndi Lauper.
No, Phil Collins.
Oh no! He did cover it, but he wasn't the.
Yes, I know he covered it. Yeah.
But anyway, what was I saying? No, I always thought that Madonna was quite a producer-dependent artist, in the sense that she'd had phases in her career. She worked early on with this guy Steve Bray, who produced parts of True Blue. And then she worked with Patrick Leonard, who was kind of a rock producer that Warner Brothers teamed her up with. He was more interested in classic rock, but he basically admitted that he worked with Madonna purely for professional reasons, because she was, there was money in it to work with her. And co-wrote with her some of her big hits like Live to Tell and Like a Prayer, a lot of the ballads as well from the late 80s into the 90s. She worked again with him on Ray of Light as well. There's a couple of songs with him on there. So he was quite an important co-songwriter. And then, of course, she worked with producers, some of these dance producers like Shep Pettibone for Vogue, and then she went on to work with William Orbit and she's done
Or
things
Ray
with
of Light. Didn't
yeah.
she work with William Orbit before Ray of Light as well?
She may
Or
have
was it
done,
after?
may have worked with him a bit before that. And of course, she's had things done with Lenny Kravitz. She did "Justify My
Yeah,
Love" was Lenny Kravitz, and then she had a.
like that. That's it.
But what William Orbit says in that magazine is that she actually knows quite a lot about record production. He says that she's actually very focused when she's in the studio. He says she doesn't turn up with an entourage or hangers on or anything else. She turns up to the studio and she's there to work. And
Yeah,
she pays a lot of attention to the technical stuff and all the aspects of it, about microphones and all this stuff. And he said the only reason that she hasn't produced any records for other people is because she simply doesn't have the time in her schedule, because she's so always got some
busy.
projects of her own. So he actually says that she's got more talent as a producer than you might think. And he says she's also got a lot of musical ideas. And it's not just the case that she writes the lyrics and the co-writers do most of the music. He says she's got more musical ideas than people often give her credit for as well. So it's
Well, I suppose
interesting.
once you've been, I suppose if you've been around a studio as long as she has, you are going to pick up that sort of bit of knowledge in it, aren't you?
Yeah, and she's obviously taken an interest in that, which maybe some of these pop stars don't bother. They just turn up and sing and do what they're guided to do. Of course, she's obviously the type who would want to get involved and have her own opinion on everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was interesting. So there, I think those are all the things I wanted to say about Madonna, Ben.
But they're not, because there are other things you want to say about Madonna, but it's before the 9 p.m. watershed, so we can't discuss them.
That's true. So
But,
anyway,
so you're not going to go and see her then?
I'm not going to the gig, but I did think that. I mean, I would quite like to have gone, but by the time I cottoned onto it, it was becoming quite expensive to buy a
Could we
ticket.
not get, because we do this, could we not get like press
A
credentials?
VIP package to be down
Well,
there.
press credentials. We could say we're part of the press. You know,
Yeah, we
we
could
could go
try.
down.
Let's
I
sit
mean, to
down
be
to
fair, I would
Hazy.
have thought you'd have been on speaking terms with her.
I'm afraid I'm not. But what I'm thinking we could do is set list bingo. Do you fancy doing that?
What now?
Well, no, we won't draw it up now. We'll both go away and do it. What we'll do is we'll pick. How many should it be? How many songs is she going to do at this gig? 15,
She's going
20?
to do at least. She's going to do at least 20. So
At
we'll go
least
for
20.
15.
So we'll do 15 songs. So we both have to come up with a list of 15 Madonna hits, and then see who gets the most right.
Correct.
She
From her
does.
set list.
And so we'll say it's the set list on Saturday night, the first show of this tour. And we'll say, because she sometimes might do a medley of songs. So if any of these songs is done in a medley, that counts as it having been done. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
make your list of 15, and we'll look at Setlist FM, the website, to be the source of the set list, and so that's going to be the definitive list of what she performed.
Oh, so the game is afoot to young
Now,
Smith.
I'll be honest, I haven't read about any of the rehearsals of this tour or what songs she's been rehearsing or anything that's been rumoured. I've no idea what song she's going to do. She has been asking fans online to tell her which songs they want her to do.
Yeah.
And she's apparently going to take some notice of that. Now, whether that is... Because it's interesting, because obviously there's people like me who remember right back to the 80s. And that's the era when we were teenagers.
1880s.
Yeah. But there are quite a lot of fans that she's got who like the 90s stuff and synths and don't really dig the 80s because they don't remember the 80s. So
I must
it's
admit,
interesting.
after listening to sort of bedtime stories and then Ray of Light and that sort of era, then music, etc. I do find sometimes like the things like Borderline, all that, and Holiday and all that sort of stuff. I find it a little bit cheesy, a little bit.
There is an 80s cheese element to some of it, yeah.
Yeah. But I suppose they were the times, Phil. They were the times.
They were the times. I think Borderline's aged quite well, I must admit, as an 80s song. I'm not sure that Holiday has aged quite as well, in my view. But yeah, some of it's good. But
And
it
like
is
a virgin,
a
I don't think it's aged well.
that's very 80s.
It's very
You
80s.
don't think it's aged well?
No, no,
Oh, I think
no.
Like a Virgin. I still think Like a Virgin is a packs of. Well, the thing about Like a Virgin is the band on that is Chic. It's Nile Rodgers and Chic. That whole
Is
album,
what? Oh, she.
the whole album was Chic. If you listen to, next time you hear Like a Virgin, listen to the drumming, because the drummer on that is Tony Thompson from Chic. It's live drums. It's
Well,
not drum machine. And you just listen to his drumming. That I think that is one of the standouts
I
of
think
that
there's
track.
two things with Like a Virgin. It's the bit where like a virgin, woo, that bit, the woo.
Yeah.
I just don't know, and the fact that she managed to sing like a virgin with a straight face.
Well, it's true. This is true. Um,
And she can't sue me for that because, yeah, she can't. Well, if she does, then I'll get her autograph in court for you.
okay, we'll wait and
I'm
see.
scared now. She might sue me.
We'll wait for Madonna's incoming court case.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm Phil, by the way, Madge.
when she
Just
sues
so you know.
Ben for saying she's not a virgin. Yeah,
Yeah,
a pretty
yeah.
interesting court case that would be.
I would like to see her defend. Yeah, yeah. She's going down in a blaze of glory. I'm taking her down. Yes. But yeah,
Okay.
I haven't got anything to add on the Madonna front.
No,
Yeah,
you just got to
no,
make a list of 15 songs,
I will do.
and
Yeah,
we'll see what she does on Saturday night.
yeah, yeah. We will do. We will do. And hopefully, by the time we're next on, I might not have to wear these uncomfortable.
You
I
might
think
not
it's
do.
because the cushions have gone on them and they've hurt my ears a little bit. So
Are they loud? Are the marshals turned up to 11 like in Spinal Tap? Or
they are. Yes, yes. They are very
that's
loud.
probably the reason for the pain, having my voice in your head.
Well, I was too scared to try and use the little thingy to turn them up and down, just in case I cut my video feed off. So I've just left them blaring in my ears.
Okay,
So you're not the worst thing I've had blaring in my ears, Phil. I was in the car earlier and Whitney Houston came on. So
there we go.
so
You don't dig any Whitney at all.
no, no. I
I thought
thought some of the stuff off the Bodyguard wasn't too bad,
I
but
th- she had an impressive voice. She came from a gospel-y soul background, very very
yeah,
lot of vocal talent. But of course, Clive Davis, Arista Records, it was very much aimed at selling lots of records, and that very 80s production at the time. And I suppose she did start a bit of the trend for this. I don't think she was the worst at it, because I think Mariah Carey was worse, but she did
oh,
do
don't get me started.
a bit of the
Oh,
over singing could creep in on occasion.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
a great raw talent. It just depends whether you like the productions of the records they made with her.
Yeah.
But
Well, she may turn up on a episode we're planning to do of artists that when we hear, we want to put concrete slippers on ourselves and jump into the nearest
okay,
river.
we'll do that. So in the meantime, do you, dear viewer, have any views on Madonna that you want to add to my musings and Ben's musings? What do you think? Any tracks you particularly like? Anything you don't like about her? Is there anything that you just want to add in there? We would love to read your
Yes,
views on
I would
Madonna.
anyway.
We'd
Because
also
could only
love.
read
I'd only look
one
at the
magazine.
pictures, as you know. I only look at the
Yeah,
pictures. So
yeah,
just give us a like, give us a share, tell us what you'd like us to discuss next. We just love any comments you make, basically, particularly ones that insult Ben. I love those ones. But
but what? We've had comments that insult me.
oh, sorry, I deleted them. I marked them as private so you couldn't see them, Ben. But
To be fair, I wouldn't be a bit like my court case with Madonna. I have no
Yeah.
grounds for the argument against any insult. So
That, dear viewer, is that. We've been talking for more than half an hour. We'll do another one sometime very soon. Thanks for watching. All the best.
bye.